Find yourself a booth, order up a cold one. This is the Spring Bar.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Spring Bar. Glad to have you here. I am Florida Mike. I am Mexican Mike.
Mexican.
Sitting with my co-host Joe in the Barbie OC.
In the Barbie OC, that would be
Barbie
me.
OC, yeah.
Indeed. It's a beautiful day, man. It's a beautiful day. I was out in the Inland Empire in the IE earlier today, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the episode with all sorts of shenanigans.
Interesting story while you're out there.
It's all going to tie together. You'll see it. It's going to be wonderful.
It will.
Wonderful.
It will.
All will be revealed. Anyway. So we are KC-less. He is out doing his one weekend a month.
Yeah, he is that. So it's funny. Last weekend you were Mike-less. This week we're KC-less.
So I guess it's my turn to take a vacation, right?
You might. You know what's funny is you've been in every single episode from the beginning.
I am the glue that holds this whole thing together. Without me, you guys are nothing.
Yeah, who would have thought, right? Oh, that's funny. I was thinking that the other day.
It's yours, but I will say that. So Casey, he went to drill and he brought with him a Bulova A11 that our man in Japan put together for him, and I think it was out of parts, which a purist might be upset about that, except that those watches were created to be modulars. You know, Elgin, Waltham, and Bulova, all of the parts were interchangeable, and if you broke yours in the field, you just sent it back. They slapped it together with whatever they had, and they sent it right back. So he has got a period correct.
It's authentic.
It is definitely authentic, and the part that makes it better, because he went out with his German Bund, which is a anti-digi quartz powered, didn't work, had a problem. Now he's out there with a mechanical American, seems to be doing just fine. So
there you go.
American.
It's back in the battlefield where it belongs.
Where it should be. But behind a desk doing paperwork. like a good
he should at least got a little muddy and made a picture out of that, just to fool everyone.
Oh, so what's going on, man? What's up?
It's been a couple of weeks. So you guys were talking last episode about why I was not present. So my mom was in town. She was on vacation. She came with an aunt and uncle of mine, left my dad home. Majority of her vacation went well until she ended up in the ER.
Yeah. That's there better be a good story.
Well, my mom she's getting up there in age, and she's got health complications of various sorts. And she ended up falling, and they wanted to find out why, if it was caused by complication A or complication B, or if it was something new. So she was supposed to leave on a Saturday. She ended up in the ER on a Thursday and did not actually leave the state of Florida until the following Thursday. So guess who she got to stay with for that entire time? But here's the thing. The doctor said, "We will release you, but I don't want you flying until this day." That day came, but we just happened to have a hurricane come through. So she couldn't exactly get on a plane. So I had to keep her for a few extra days. Finally got her out. Plane got delayed, so she didn't leave until much later in the evening than she was supposed to, but made it home.
Well,
so that's why I was unavailable last episode. I was taking care of dear old mom.
As you should. As you should. See, I don't have that problem. My parents are in Scotland, I think.
Well,
hi, Mom.
Some good-looking Scottish bloke will take care of her if she ends up in the hospital.
I have to deal with my dad, who is not a good-looking Scottish bloke.
Well,
it's a family trait. It's the Miller family trait. Like, we all have offbeat good looks, which means we're pretty handsome for ugly guys.
You got great face for radio. So if you're listening on
Right?
Spotify,
It's a good thing it's a
perfect.
podcast. Oh, too
If
bad
you're
we do YouTube.
if you're watching on YouTube,
Yeah. Just you zoom in on Mike, we'll be fine.
yeah.
Oh
So
well,
yeah,
what else?
so
What else you got? What else is going on?
so
There's a new Swatch drop. Do you want to talk about
Swatch
the Swatch
mania,
drop?
yeah, has happened again. Once again, Swatch has turned the internet upside down. So here's the thing. I don't think this time around it's as crazy as the moon swatch because I think people are used to the plasticiness. The information came out, what would you say, about a week or so prior to the release. So they had time to prepare. We knew what was going to happen. We knew chaos was going to ensue. We knew there was going to be big crowds. I'm kind of disappointed scrolling through my feeds and stuff today that there's really not a whole lot of posts on the Moon Swatch Mania. Or not Moon Swatch, but the Swatch Blancpain Swatch Mania.
The Thrifty Fathoms.
Thrifty Fathoms. So they did what? They did 5 iterations this time?
5 iterations named after, which is weird because they named it after the 5 oceans, but they didn't touch the 7 seas, which I think
right? Yeah,
is a
know.
mistake on their
funny.
part. But okay, fine, whatever. They did it. I have a different take on it than you do. So you go ahead. You go,
Well,
and I'll follow up.
I generally support what Swatch does with these collaborations. The Moon Swatch was, whether you love it or hate it, wildly successful. I mean, they've done over 1 million units in sales.
Probably more than that, but man, yeah,
well
it's
beyond
sold.
it.
It's sold out every iteration of the blue moon versions or the full moon versions or the moonshine. I don't even know what the hell it is anymore.
Yeah,
but those all sell out too.
They've done all the moonshine gold, the weird seconds hands. I mean, it's super successful. Generated a whole lot of buzz for both brands, good or bad. People are talking about it. So logically, they're going to another company under the umbrella, and they picked Blancpain this time, one after the 50 Fathoms, modeled it after one of the more recent iterations of the watch. I think they look pretty cool. I think they did a good job with it. They put the System 51 mechanical movement in there. So thank goodness for that, because I didn't want to have to listen to everybody talking about a quartz 50 Fathoms. It's a usable bezel. It's got a nice looking insert. They put it on great NATO straps. The colorways are good. I don't see a problem with it. And again, it's going to generate buzz for a brand that is relatively under the radar, right? I think it's pretty good. These ones cost a little bit more than what the Moon Swatches did, but you're getting a mechanical watch.
It's $400 for a watch that you can't service. That's going to end up back in a landfill, even though they're making the nylon strap out of recycled seam nets. It's awful. The colors are horrific.
They are not
awful.
horrific.
There is nothing good here. And I can prove it. Give me just a moment. Here's your proof. You ready? Here's the proof. Look at Swatch's catalog. Swatch has got nothing like that. They don't have that kind of bezel. They don't have any of that. There's not a diver in their catalog that looks anything remotely close. And the reason is because it just doesn't work. It doesn't work as a design. It doesn't work as it's like the 50 Fathoms is iconic, but they didn't go with the Tornek Rayville version. They went with some of the different 50. No,
they went with the most modern version of it. And
no,
listen, your argument.
This is
your argument is invalid.
No, because
yes,
because
and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. No.
I'm not done.
Oh, okay.
Because
please arrive at your point.
When you look at the Moon Swatch from a profile, from a distance, you can identify that as a Speedmaster. I know that that's a Speedmaster. It has an iconic shape, to the point that the silhouette alone, you can identify the watch. There's a couple others that you can do that with. They're mostly Genta designs. But the Moon Swatch and the Speedmaster are definitely one that if you hold it up, use it as a bat signal, you'll know what we're talking about. This watch, nowhere near.
Yes.
Nowhere near.
Yes. And I'll tell you why. Because everybody figured out that it was going to be a 50 fathoms by the crown that Swatch released on their very first teaser episode, or their teaser post.
Yeah, they got
the
that,
crown,
but they also know that
it was a
because
50 fathoms.
The information dropped out so early that they had already done a version of it. They were talking about the prototypes. People who saw the prototypes before the Moon Swatch dropped, they knew that there was a 50 fathoms version. So this has been in the news. Like, if they were going to do something next, it was going to be that. It wasn't going to be another Omega. So and it wasn't like it was going to be a Mito or a Bruget.
And here's the other thing. You keep saying, oh, well, it's horrible. Swatch has never done anything this before. They have no business doing something like this. It doesn't work. Well, listen, they didn't design the watch. Blancpain designed the watch. They have done this before. They've been doing this for how long now? I think they know how to design a watch. Swatch just hit copy and paste, which is fine. So your Swatch hasn't done this before argument isn't valid because who cares?
It's a plastic watch. It's a plastic watch. Bioceramic my ass. It's a plastic watch. It's going to look great in the pictures.
Here's the thing.
You're going to pick it up. It's going to feel like a poker chip, and not one of the good ones. It's going to feel like one of the cheap poker chips, the red, white, and blue ones that you play on the 4th of July. Then no.
I am curious because the Moon Swatch was quartz, very light. This has got the mechanical movement in it, which is going to add a little bit of weight to it. I'm curious the weight difference between the two watches. Now, you'll be able to tell us this because we know somebody who waited in line and actually bought one. So she is a member of one of your local clubs, and I'm sure
watch club. Yeah.
When you guys meet up, she'll have it with her.
We'll see.
You'll be able to get hands-on with it.
You loaned her some watches, right? Shout out to Georgia.
Did loan her some watches.
You loaned her some watches, and you set up a visit for her to the Bulova Museum, which
still trying,
which is a fantastic bit on our part, but we haven't been, and we're sending people right and left.
I know, right?
Sucks, man. This sucks. So, all right. So here's the hot take. Mike likes the new plastic watch, and Joe doesn't.
Go figure. Who would have saw that coming?
Right?
Real quick before we move on, I will be my niece is getting married in, I think, March of next year. It's going to be in New Jersey. So I'll have to see where in New Jersey it is, how far it is from New York City. If it's reasonable.
Plane ride. It's closer than Florida.
It's yeah, slightly.
What month?
March. I think it's March.
I think it's March.
You're
gonna have to narrow that down.
But I'm not entirely sure. I'll let you know when I
might meet you there.
So moving on. Hey, if you're a new listener or subscriber, welcome to the show. Glad you found us. Hope you enjoy it. The reason why I bring this up is because when you have a YouTube channel, you can download the what is it called? YouTube hold on, what is it called? It's on my phone here.
I don't know, I just work here.
It's the YouTube Studio app, and it's how you get all your information, your views, the rates, the click-throughs, the this and that. It gives you all the information on the videos and that. But
so when we become viral millionaires, you're going to hang on to all of that, and
yeah,
you'll know when it happens when Mike upgrades the studio and I'm still in the same place.
But when you open it up, it tells you the number of subscribers that you have to your channel. Last time I opened it, we were around like 90 subscribers, haven't hit 100. We're not super wildly popular on YouTube. Everybody knows this. I open it up, we've got 143 subscribers. So we've gained more than 50 new subscribers to our YouTube channel. So welcome everyone.
10.5 of subscribers.
Tens of subscribers.
10.5s of
Yeah. So good, and we get some good comments, people checking in from across the world. And I'll tell you what, everybody says that you've made it when you get haters.
All
And
right.
boy, did we get a hater.
Okay.
we
I don't
we,
see. Okay, I just work here. I don't check out hardly anything. So
you don't follow along.
I don't know what you're talking about. You're gonna have to illuminate me.
We had so I screenshotted a couple of the comments that this YouTube viewer had made on a couple of episodes. I don't remember exactly which ones it was, but some of the recent ones. He
Didn't like
had it out.
KC. Who doesn't like
He
KC?
he had it out for KC. Why does he hide his face? Why does this dumb millennial not know what he's done? Oh, the faceless millennial, blah blah. Kept going on and on and on. So I have to defend the show. I have to defend my co-host. So I, poked back a little bit. It's
That's
like,
your
does it
boy.
really matter why? Does it make a difference? Like, who cares? Let him do what he wants to do. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. I don't care. But he just kept on, kept on, and kept on. So then I would, rebut a little bit. And then I thought I had made a comment. I don't remember exactly what it was. But then he deleted some of his comments that he made. I'm like, oh, okay. He finally got the hint. A couple days later, he posts on other videos. Same thing, just laying into Casey. I don't get what it was. So you just got tired of reading the stupid stuff. So I blocked him. Blocked him. So I don't know if you're. So the way that I understand it is he can still watch the videos, but he's not able to comment on them anymore. So if you're watching right now, whoever you are, eat more meatloaf and be better.
I made meatloaf last night. It was really good.
But did your mom make it? He probably eats mom's meatloaf, for being honest. It makes me
I
so
told you my mom's in Scotland. I have to make my own meatloaf.
oh.
But I make a pretty wicked meatloaf.
So be better.
I,
Just
until he
give
sets
him.
up another account, and then we'll get the same thing from another guy. Here's what I
Yeah.
think. Here's what I think. You want to know what I think? Here's what I think. I think it's somebody in KC's command found out that
You
he's
think?
all about watches, and I bet you that's what it was. So KC, when you watch this, see if you can suss it out, because we're a little concerned. If anybody in your command starts looking at your watches a little bit closer,
Yeah.
see if that meshes up
You know
for
what?
you.
I didn't even think of that. That's a good theory. Could
It's a
be.
good theory. It's a good
Yeah.
theory. All right. So what we're talking? Oh wait, hang on. No, let's get into new watch alerts. I've got
Yeah,
nothing.
we got
nothing.
other things to take
I got
care of here.
nothing new. What do you
Nothing
got?
new?
I got nothing.
Nothing. Oh, all right. So I have a watch that's not here. However, I got it in, so I am allowed to talk about it. It's in Japan right now with our guy getting serviced.
Our man
It doesn't. The man in Japan doesn't need a service really. Well, it probably does need it, but it runs. It runs. It operates. It does everything that it's supposed to do. But wrist alarms scare me because I don't know how they work, and I feel like it's a very fragile movement.
There's a whole double barrel thing, and then the alarm
Well,
itself, it's not a
so
chiming
yes and
alarm,
no.
it's like an oscillating alarm.
So there's two. So I have two Bulova wrist alarms now. I have, gosh, what year is that one? The first one, I don't even remember what year it was. It's the one that Georgia has. She's wearing it in New York right now. That
Yeah.
one is a single barrel
Yeah.
wrist alarm. The new one
But
that
do
I
you
bought,
wind the crown the other way for that one, or
no. So you wind the crown, and it sounds like you get the regular clicking from the
yeah,
winding, right? When you get to a certain point in the winding process, let's see.
nothing.
No, your noise cancellation is blocking it out. It's a good effort though. When you get to a certain point in the winding, it kicks in, I guess, a different part of the spring. I don't know, because you get a different sounding click at that point. It's like a heavier click. So I'm not sure exactly how that whole single barrel works for the movement and the alarm, because when the alarm goes off, it doesn't unwind the whole watch. It doesn't stop running at that point, right? That would be pointless. So I'm not sure how that all works out.
I know that there's some that would do a double barrel, and
So
you'd wind the crown one way to wind the watch, wind the crown another way to wind the alarm, because it's an oscillating alarm. And so that was spring powered, and that was what the initial
mhm.
like. And I don't know if that predates the chiming alarms. I'm not sure what the history of the wrist alarm is, because I don't. I just
Well, so
don't.
the other one, the newest one that I got is the blue dial from the 70s, which is the one that I really wanted, but then things are
Yeah.
always expensive. I found one for a great price. So anyways, that's the one that's in Japan getting service. That is a double barrel, but you wind one crown operates the watch portion, the other crown operates the alarm portion. So you wind both crowns.
All right.
Yeah, so it's very cool. Um, I miss it. I got to wear it for 2 days before I had to send it out.
I miss
So
it. I miss
yeah,
it.
I can't wait for it to come back. But it's
Instant bonding.
beautiful shade of blue. Oh, it's
It's a
fantastic. And
good.
it's
It is a good blue. It is a good
the
blue.
dial, the hands, the blue triangle for the alarm is it's
There's
all
some. I mean, there's
perfect.
some interesting iterations. Like that first one that you have is it's a similar case. It's a small case shape, and it's a real plain dial. And I know that there was a Sea King version of that. There's a couple
Mhm.
other iterations, but it was always a pale dial, I believe. I don't think they did like a black dial or something else. And then
Yeah,
the
yeah,
more
yeah.
modern-ish one is that blue, and it's like almost an electric blue. It's a really nice blue.
But that's the difference between the 60s and 70s is
Yeah,
the 70s they were just full of color and bizarre hour
yeah.
markers and it's it's perfect. I love that thing. Um, so wait for that to get a clean bill of health. I just wanted it to be serviced so that way when it came back, I didn't have to worry about it. Everything's going to be good to go. So that's two wrist alarms, two Bulova wrist alarms. But why
But
stop there?
wait,
But why stop there? I
if
have.
you act now,
So hold on.
if
I'm
you
not going
cut
to
off
get into
enough
this one
box
yet.
tops and you send it in with your Sears catalog, what else can we get, Mike?
We'll get to that in a minute. Actually, I'm gonna talk about a different watch. So
Damn it. I gave you a
I
perfect lead in too. That was so good. That
no,
was
I
so
know,
good.
but the
Way better than
story
that new Blancpain.
the story goes like this. So we have a listener, Tommy, and Tommy loves to do trades. That's his thing. He likes to do trades for watches.
He trades up
Um,
pretty well too.
he does pretty well. He's done a lot of trades with Greg. He got
Oh,
a
yeah.
space view from him. He's gotten some other real cool watches through trades. I traded him fairly recently the Seiko, the vintage Seiko that I got from Greg. I traded to Tommy for that was for the Timex Q. The original Q
Right.
was at the Eagle Eye,
Yeah.
which doesn't run.
Well,
It makes noises, but it doesn't want to run for more than a minute at a time. I really haven't put a lot of time or effort in trying to figure out why. I'll get to that one day. But then he has this gold Bulova looking date just style, not a Super Seville, but Super Seville-esque watch. And I really liked it. And I said, what would it take? I don't know. I really want to hang on to that one. Okay, fine. So we were talking, and he's been interested in the Jetstars, and I had bought a lot of Jetstars, a lot of three, and in it was a Jetstar D, and it had a couple of issues, some spots on the dials, and the bezel wasn't all that great, and it didn't run all that well. The calendar didn't work. So I went through it, fixed a few things. I was just trying to sell it to offload it, make a couple dollars on it. Nothing happened with it. So I'm like, I know you wanted a Jetstar. How do you feel about a trade? Okay, we'll do that one. So I made this Jetstar up real nice, put it on a real nice strap. I painted the bezel, fixed everything on it. It
oh
runs,
yeah, that
everything
one, that blue,
operates.
that D, yeah.
Yeah. Cleaned it all up real nice for him, sent it out. He got it. He's super happy with it. He sent me this. This is the gold Bulova Date Justy watch. It's on the original bracelet. It's the signed bracelet. The fluted bezel has a screw down crown, signed crown, gold dial, gold hands. It's quartz, which doesn't bother me. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
This thing is really, really cool. Now, few things about this watch. It is well known that I am not the biggest fan of Rolex.
Or gold for that matter.
Oh, I have a lot of gold watches. I love gold watches. I I have like 4 or 5 gold watches. 6 until I gave you one.
Yeah.
Anyways, this wearing this watch confirms that I would wear an 80s era gold Rolex. I will say that here and now.
Yeah, but everybody would wear an 80s era gold Rolex.
Yeah, but
That
here's the
doesn't make
thing,
you
though.
that doesn't make
But
you special or unique. I
no,
would wear my son
what
would wear an 80s era gold
will
Rolex.
you stop? Just listen. What makes it special, quote unquote, is I've never liked those watches. I never was into Rolex. I didn't get the flex. It just never appealed to me. Wearing this, I would wear one. I would wear one of those for sure. I would. I would rather wear a gold Bulova instead, though, which is why I have this. Um, Another thing, and I brought this up. I think I was talking with Tommy about it. Never in any of my watches that I have ever worn out in public or otherwise have I ever gotten any compliments or has any of them started a conversation? None of my watches. And I think we can agree I have some cool stuff. This watch has started more conversations and has gotten more compliments. It's hilarious.
See, this is why you would wear a 80s gold Rolex. The me generation, greed is good. The whole ultimate flex. That's the president watch. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody who, given the opportunity, wouldn't put one on and be like, yeah, it might not be for you, but you can certainly understand why it is what it is and why
But that's the
that
thing
watch
is
itself is the thing.
I've had them on before. I've had ones that have been bejeweled and I tried on Oliver's who's got the stainless steel version of it and they were just like, man, but spending time with this, it's changed my mind on it. I do like that style. I would wear one of those.
Well,
That's that.
I guess there's growth.
So moving on,
Moving on.
Tommy also had a wrist alarm. And I said, man, that is really cool. I'm like, what would it take for that? Because this is a what we're going to call an NOS wrist alarm. It had everything. It has the outer box, it has the inner box, it has the warranty card, it has the instruction booklets, it has the case back sticker on it still. It is chrome plated, but it is immaculate. Not a scratch on it. Nothing. I've only ever seen him post it once. So he told me, I don't wear it. I'm afraid to wear it. And it just kind of sits there. He's like, I really want to hang on to that one though. Okay. I said, I'll buy it from you. Name a price. Well, I'd rather trade it for something, but I want to hang on to it. I said, whenever you're ready to let go of it, let me know. I'm your guy. Okay, he says. So we make our trade. He sends me this gold Bulova. Inside the box was the outer box, the inner box, the warranty card, the instruction booklet, everything. It is, and this is such a weird little clamshell type box. This is look at it. It just you just pull it open.
That's cool though.
It's pretty neat, right?
It's pretty cool.
A Sears 7 jewel Swiss made wrist alarm.
So you have no idea who made the movement, right?
I haven't opened it up to look at it to get a caliber number off of it to try and cross reference to something else. Um, Cordura has a identical watch to this. There is another brand that has an identical watch to this. I forget who the other one was. So I don't know who the actual watchmaker is. Sears just bought it, slapped their name on it. but it is so funky cool.
Yeah.
So I was
It's a really neat watch. I'm a little jealous. Like I like the Bulivas, don't get me wrong. I like that better.
it's so it's just Sears had everything,
Sears. Oh,
and
oh man,
everybody
yeah, they had stuff that was done by Hoyer. God, the list goes on and on and on. They were a
yeah.
fantastic in the musical instrument world. We call them stencil brands, where a regular manufacturer would make something and then put somebody else's name on it. So it'd be all the same parts, but it'd just be a different. It's essentially it's a stencil. That's what it is. Like you might have some of the more decorative features would be from something else, but that's about it. So I know that in the watch world that happens pretty regularly,
Mhm.
and I think it's fantastic. I really do like that watch. I think you did good.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, so here's the thing. He just sent it. He didn't tell me he was going to send it. It just came inside the box. So I right away I messaged him like, "Hey,
Did,
thank you."
did you know this was here?
But yeah. So it's kind of an open-ended deal. So one day when I have something that I'm getting rid of or whatever that he wants, like he gets first right of refusal because he sent me this watch. Because he knew it was going to come to good home. He knew I was going to enjoy it. He doesn't wear it. I have put it on a few times. I wear it within the safe confines of home. I won't take it outside.
This you're timing yourself in the bathroom with this watch. That's what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. So those are my new watches. What do you got on the wrist? We totally skipped by that one. What are you wearing today?
Oh, I got on the surfboard A.
Is
The,
that
well,
are
the
you
deep sea A's, the surfboard.
the surfboard A. I thought you were being Canadian there for a second.
No, that would be the
Oh, okay.
Canadian 666. That's a different watch.
Okay.
Eh?
How
Just
you
just
liking
that.
that? How you liking that strap? You still like that strap?
I like that strap. So I wore a different watch when I went out into the hinterlands today. Then I had this one in my watch roll,
Hmm.
and I opened up the watch roll and realized that the the way that the end lugs fit on the case, they don't bend in, and so like I folded my strap over. I'm like, oh, that's not going to work.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to wear that home. Make sure I don't crease the FKM rubber of the key piece.
yeah.
Vintage Tropic.
That's such a good color though. That
It
faded
it
orange.
it's a nice like the match on the seconds hand and on the cigarette tips of the minute and
Hmm.
hours hands. It's really good. It's really
Yeah.
good.
I know
It shouldn't
that
be as good as it is.
the FKM rubber is super comfortable to wear.
I am really impressed. It's
Yeah.
it's a very comfortable. It wears incredibly well. Like for the way that the weather is right now, it's perfect. I'm beyond happy, beyond thrilled. What do
Yeah.
you got?
That's cool. I am wearing my astronaut. And I put it on, let me take it off and I'll hold it up closer to the camera. I made a post on Instagram just before we started recording. A lot of people wanted to see what it looked like on the JB Champion NASA Mesh because it's a space bracelet on a space watch. I've seen one other person that's done this combination. I'm like, it looks okay.
So the story is
It's
those were the bracelets that were issued by NASA to the astronauts in the event that they caught the watch on something because the bracelet would break and he could save the watch.
Mhm.
And it's not exactly the same concept as the NATO strap, where even if you lose the spring bar, the watch will still hang on. So it's an interesting little take that where they valued the watch in terms of mission standards and mission protocol.
Yeah, redundancies.
multiple redundancies, but you always see them with that big that big Velcro strap because they had to put it on outside on the
Outside
spacesuit.
the spacesuits, yeah. And they came in different lengths, though.
Yeah,
The mesh bracelets, you'd have the longer length, so that way you could actually, because there's pictures of astronauts with the mesh bracelet on the spacesuit,
yeah. I've
so you
never
would get
seen
like
I've
a
never seen one of the long mesh though. I don't even know that that's available anymore. I haven't seen one vintage either. I was looking for those for a little while. So
they're
that's
probably super
interesting.
rare, yeah,
Yeah, gotta be.
yeah. Um, so I put it on here in person. It looks pretty good. It's a space watch that's all spaced out now. I
I
feel
think
like it's pretty authentic.
I think you've got a keeper right there. So much so that the bracelet that came on, if you're done with that,
Yeah, you're dying for it back, aren't you?
I do like that bracelet.
So
That's a good bracelet.
you traded it to me on a coffin link. And the
Yes.
coffin, so this watch technically belongs on the larger, as you describe it, uncomfortable coffin link.
It's so there's two styles. There's the large and the small. The small is
Mhm.
more of a Seiko. Seiko did more with that. There's a variety of different manufacturers who made coffin link. The Kressler coffin link, it's a larger, it's a little more angular, and it's a hair puller, man.
Mhm.
You'll be bald.
I'll take your word for it. I've never
It's a
never had
Brazilian
one
one.
on.
That's all I'm saying.
The Brazilian bracelet. But on
But
Coffin Link, it looks really good.
it does.
I'm torn. I'm really torn.
That's why I had it on that. But the only reason I
Yeah,
had it on that is because I couldn't get one of those. I would have put it on
really.
that in a heartbeat.
See,
So
it looks good.
it does. I
This
like it.
this
I like it there. I like it better there, to be absolutely
this
honest.
bracelet I had on my Aerojet, and it looked good
Yeah,
on the Aerojet. But it now this is fully space ready.
it's better.
I sent you a side by side. Did you get the side by side picture I sent you?
Did I don't think I did.
Check your messages because I sent it to you. Kind of like a, oh crap, what do I do now
Oh
type of
yeah.
thing.
I
See,
like that mesh better. I'm telling you. I like the mesh better.
do you?
I do.
It's a good width. It fits on her. So these are the horned ends, which doesn't really make a difference because
The way that the watch
it's
sets up, the way those lugs
the
are.
way that the lugs are. Yeah, you can't really see the ends. It would almost work better on a straight end, the
Yeah.
straight end version of
Yeah, it
this.
would, but it's okay where what you got.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I like it.
but I'm not going to get rid of this one for a straight end because this is the original, man. These things are super hard to come by.
I'm
Well,
telling
they're
you,
not hard to come by. You can
it's
buy
a
the originals, but they're
it's
super
a
expensive.
keeper.
Yeah,
You're it's found a home. You're done.
yeah,
You're done.
yeah.
It's over. Let it go. So
So today, let's actually get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. Where there's something that bugs me, especially when it comes to watch listings.
just one thing.
Well, this bugs me more than other things. There's a lot of things that bug me, but this one always bothers me the most. When somebody sells something that's in really nice shape, they want to call it NOS. But it's not NOS. It's just a watch that's in really good condition. And there's also discussion to be had about box and papers. Does it make
Yeah.
it better? Does it add value? Does it really matter? Do we need to have it? So we're talking NOS and box and papers and stuff that's just really in good condition. So part of the inspiration for it was this wrist alarm because it comes with everything. All the boxes, all the papers, the watch is in pristine condition. However, if you look up the definition of new old stock, it's just that. It's new old stock. It's a piece that hasn't been sold to the public that comes exactly the way that it would have come from the manufacturer or the retailer or what have you. And it's been untouched and preserved all this time. This watch, I'm guessing, was bought by somebody for him to have obtained it through, how many years of ownership it's been through. I'm assuming it was purchased. However, the warranty card was never filled out, and generally the retailer fills out the warranty card when it's sold. So I don't know. So can I say this is NOS? Or is it just, do I have a really nice watch with box and papers?
Has it been warned? Can you tell? That's kind of the kicker, right? You never know in this day and age unless you're getting something from a single owner. And even with a filled out registration card, they fill out the registration card and then they put it in the closet and they never touch it again.
Mhm.
Like, okay, that you could consider that kind of new old stock. That might work. Like you find these sock drawer watches. It's it's rare. It's like that's the ultimate barn find, but it happens. And it's like, oh, I put it away and I forgot about it, and I never cleaned out that sock drawer, and I have other watches and blah 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 blah. So there's that aspect that happens. The box and papers thing. There's a variety of people that I pay attention to when it comes to watch purchasing and the power of the purchase and what they're looking for, what they're looking at. And it really comes down to the fact that box and papers, it adds a little bit of value if you're looking for something that's an investment. But if you're going to wear the watch, it doesn't really matter. Not really. You're gonna if it's new old stock, as soon as you put it on, it's no longer new old stock. You've ruined that. It's a used watch. So
Well, see, yes or no, and that's where the definition comes in. New old stock, just because you've worn it, doesn't necessarily mean that it's not new old stock anymore. New old stock was it sold through retail?
eh,
If
eh.
yes, then it's technically not new old stock anymore.
Yeah, but if it wasn't sold at retail and it's been worn, then it's not new either. So
Okay, so
right,
let's talk about this.
we're talking about two separate things, right? Because if we're talking about box and papers versus new old stock, right? Box and
But it's
papers.
two separate things, but let's stick with the new old stock for a second.
Okay,
Okay, so you have your green snorkel Skittles,
I do.
which you have called new old stock.
It is in new old stock condition, sure.
Ah,
Or
see, okay.
I think, and actually, that we should change that. We should change that into probably unworn condition rather than new old stock. But that watch was never worn.
It's a weird label. The NOS label is such a weird label. It can cover so many different things, and it's often misused.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I'll concede that.
Why it bothers me is it bothers me because a lot of watches are so mislabeled and misrepresented with NOS. So you have true NOS, and you can have something that's considered NOS condition. So that I would call an NOS condition watch. My Jetstar D is an NOS condition watch. Your gold 666, your Canadian 666 has been
Almost.
worn, but technically that is an NOS watch. And I can say that fairly confidently because when I bought it, I went back and traced the
Oh
story.
no, I know.
behind
We
it.
know the history. We know the history of that watch, but that watch has been worn, right?
It's been worn.
You wore it. I've worn it. That watch has been worn. It is not damaged. It's not beat up. It's not scratched. It's in really, really good condition.
But see, technically it's an NOS piece because for those that don't know the story of the watch, these are Canadian market, very weird, dressy, gold-plated. What's the dial marked? The Oceanographer,
Setomatic.
day date 666. Whatever else is written on the dial. The watch originally was a jeweler's display piece. I don't know what happened to the jewelry store that it was in, if it went under, if they just got rid of the piece, they were moving on, whatever. It ended up after that in a pawn shop from which it was purchased by we'll just call it the civilian owner, right? Who sold it to the gentleman that I bought it from, who sold it to me. Now it's
Okay,
gone
but
to you.
but here's the problem. Here's the problem with that. I don't see how you can call that a new old stock piece at all. At all. Because it's changed hands. By the time you got it, it changed hands 3 times.
But it was never sold through retail.
So it was sold. Right. And so to me, the idea of new old stock is from the watch was manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
It was sent to a retailer.
Mm-hmm.
It was never sold from that retailer. It may be distributed someplace else at some point. and it be picked up as a watch lot, and it can be sold then and say, okay, now it's new old stock. This has never been sold. It's never been opened. It's never been handled. It's never been. Nobody's touched it. We didn't even touch it. We just take the box and we looked at it, and that's it. We put it. Didn't even touch it. We just verify that it was there. Once it's sold, it's no longer new old stock. You can have it in good condition, but
well, then technically nobody has a new old stock watch.
right,
By that argument.
unless it's something that you found in the back of a jeweler or watch shop that was never sold. It was tucked away someplace, and you bust it out like, oh, look at that, Hoyer Otavia, never been sold, box and papers, new old stock. Then you could do that. But for me to say that any watch that I have is new old stock, that's kind of far-fetched, because all my stuff has come from somebody else. It's come from another retailer. I've bought it from someone. So,
well, I would venture to say that watch is as close to an NOS watch as you have because of the history of it.
perhaps, except that I got it from you. So that immediately eliminates it.
Yeah, but I'm not a retailer. So it's
No,
okay.
you're not. You're just some guy on the street.
Yeah.
Right. And so it puts it into that same category, I think that it's fair to say that anything that you've bought from somebody who bought it off of retail, or if you buy a new old stock watch from eBay and then you sell it again on eBay, it's no longer new old stock.
So that's what you're going with?
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. All right. So then you got NOS condition.
Yes.
Which we both have a few of those.
Yes.
This wrist alarm is NOS condition. Just Star is NOS condition.
Yeah.
Do I have anything else that's NOS condition? I don't know. Probably not.
That's
but you
Sears.
have a few.
I got a few. I've got a few that are.
I'm saying the wrist alarm here.
Yeah.
That is.
So the idea, when you start looking at anything that can be kind of graded, you could put it into the same category you put coins. That there's a variety of different ways that you can grade coins, or you can grade anything that can have a condition report, baseball cards, comic books, all of that sort of stuff. And I think that new old stock condition just means in really, really good condition, almost like an unworn situation. But what would be the difference today for new old stock versus something that still has stickers on it? Right? Now we're talking about a slightly different quality, because the watches I've got, they still have, none of them have stickers on.
Well, so, the Sears has stickers on it.
Right. So if that's got stickers on it, so is that a higher quality of new old stock? Is that a better grade?
You mean new old stock condition?
Yeah.
Because we've already determined it's not new old stock.
Right. And so, but if we're talking about it from a condition standpoint.
Well, and see, now that's where Box and Papers comes into play. So it's not new old stock. It's new old stock condition, possibly unworn, but it has all the documentation, all the Box and Papers. Now, Box and Papers can be defined as a few different things. So I also have that, it's not in here anymore. It's in my watch box, but this was a gold Bulova that I had done a trade with. With Greg. No, I take it back. I bought this one from him. I didn't trade it from him.
Yeah.
But this is the original box.
Right.
It has the sales tag on it, and underneath here it has some of the hand tags. This is the water resistance guarantee, the shock resistant thing. It has the model number, the cost of it. So that really is kind of the extent of the papers that came with this when this was new, even though
right. But it doesn't have the booklet, it doesn't have the warranty card, it doesn't have the sales receipt.
But it has some of the original paperwork that came with it. So would this be considered Box and Papers?
I would say
that this is a Box and Papers. It's close enough.
I'd say it's box. I wouldn't say papers, but okay. Hang tag doesn't count as papers to me. It doesn't. Like papers would be documentation. It would be proof of authenticity. It would be the manual, and it would be receipt.
So proof of authenticity is the one hang tag has the model number, it has the movement number on it, it has the cost of it.
No, because you're going to get a warranty card and an authentication card in many watch brands. So if it doesn't have that, then
but the 70s Bulova have an authentication card in the boxes.
I'm sorry.
This doesn't even have an authentication card.
If we're discussing box and papers and you don't have any papers, then you do not have a box and papers. So you have a box.
Let's look in here in the Sears. I'm pulling it out. I'm looking at the paperwork in here. This is the instructions how to remove watch from case. Shows you how to open up the little clamshell.
What's that printed on? Is it paper?
Yeah.
That would be paper.
Oh, okay. This has watch guarantee and instruction booklet.
Hey, is it printed on paper?
Why? Okay. All right.
Do you have 2 pieces of paper?
Hold on.
The hang tag doesn't count.
What's it printed on?
Doesn't count. Wrapped in string.
Okay.
Doesn't count.
Okay. All right. It's got the same information on that hang tag as it does the book that I'm staring at.
Doesn't count.
Doesn't count.
No. It's a nice added extra. It's a cherry on top.
Okay, so put in the comments. Box, papers.
Box and papers.
Box. I'm showing. I'm holding up to the camera here.
Box.
Here's you can see inside here. Here's that are printed on paper.
Hang tag, not papers.
So the bull of a box is dude. I want to know the listeners and viewers. Box and papers, yes or no?
No. Box.
No, you're not papers. A viewer, Joe. You don't count. You work for the company.
I am not a viewer. You're absolutely correct.
You work for the company.
I don't even read the comments.
I know you do. Now I can't get the papers back in the box the right way.
See, look at that. You're destroying value right now.
I know, right?
Putting creases.
It's back in there. So what does box and papers do to the value of the watch? Does it really like
does nothing.
If I sold this Sears watch, just watch only, and I sold it like this, packaged in the original box, the outer box with all the papers, the warranty card, the instruction booklet, and all that kind of stuff, could I get more for it in this package versus?
I think that so this is where the box and papers argument lie. Box and papers are valuable for investment only. And it's valuable for investment only because the people that are investing in watches think that it's important. If you're going to wear the watch, it really doesn't matter that much. And let's be honest, if you were to take a Sears wrist alarm watch, as cool as that is, and you were to list it, would you get more for it with box and papers than you would without? No, not really.
I bet you would.
I bet you could offer it for more, but I bet that if you took offers, you would get the same.
No. Well, maybe that's here or there. But I feel like if I listed the watch without box and papers, it would sell for less than my asking price. If I listed the watch with box and papers, I would be willing to bet I would get more in the way of getting my asking price for it because it adds to the collectability and the rarity of the watch.
I'll give you rarity. I will give you rarity 100%. I think that it has less to do with adding value and more to do with adding authenticity. That if
which adds value.
Well, maybe maybe it adds value. I don't think that necessarily in the case of that watch that it's going to matter very much. I mean, what's the added value? You're not getting $100 for that box and papers. 15, sure.
Well,
But
let's just so if I listed the watch for $100, just the watch alone, somebody like, well, I'll give you $75 for it. It's cool,
right.
but it's a watch. But if I listed that for $100 with the box and papers, be like, yeah, I'll give you $100 for that.
You
So I
could
made
get that,
25 bucks.
but that's see this goes back to this idea that it adds to the authenticity, right? If you
Disclaimer:
listed,
I'm not selling it for $100. It would take a lot more than $100 to sell this watch.
he's accepting offers though.
No, I'm not.
No, don't say that. Don't say that, because there could be a Sears collector. We've got an eclectic bunch. There could be a Sears collector. You never know.
And see, box and papers would be worth more to him.
Right, to the Sears collector, but to me, for that watch, the only thing that that's going to do is when it's going to reinforce the idea that it is in new old stock or unworn condition. That's all. That you say, okay, I've got box and papers. It's never been worn. Let me show you. And you have everything that would come with the watch as it was sold. That adds more credence to this idea that the watch is unworn. Box and papers by itself doesn't, because I have a ton of watches with box and papers. Every watch that I have purchased new, I've kept the box and papers.
So
here's the problem.
There's the next question. Do you keep all your boxes and papers when you buy a new watch? Like if you went and you bought a brand new watch today from the store, you bought a Bulova or a Seiko or a
I would hang on. I would hang on to the box and papers. Yeah,
you keep all that.
I keep the receipt. If I have it, I keep the receipt. I keep the hang tags. I keep the stickers. I keep the booklet, the pamphlet. I keep it all into the watch box, and then I store the watch box. The problem that I didn't do that. I didn't do that from the start though. But the other issue that shows up with Bulova at a certain price point is that the boxes are the same and the manual is generic. Mm-hmm. You get a quartz watch, it's like they print one manual, and that's kind of how it is.
Well, but here's the thing. Back in the 70s when this was sold, the manual was generic and the box was the same.
It was, but I don't think that there was the same. Well, I think when you start talking about the number of SKUs, right? How many different items were being offered, and what the specific movements were and the features of those movements within that series, it wasn't quite the same. Like you didn't have the exact same quartz movement in every watch, because
how many times have you looked at a booklet and it has directions for 3 or 4 different styles,
and that's more of a modern thing though, but it goes to the same point. The Bulivas that I have gotten recently have been a little bit more specific, and they've been coming out of the archive series, and they're more of a collector's thing. So the boxes themselves are not the paper, they're the wood.
The boxes are the wood boxes, like this one here, this Jetstar box that's above me.
Right.
These have the authenticity card. It has the limited edition card. Right. This has the special booklet inside of it. So those ones I'll keep. I have this one. I have the Xeric NASA box here.
Yeah.
On the shelf above me, you can't see. There's like my Timex Snoopy came in a real nice presentation box. So those ones I'll hang on to. But when I got the other 2 Jetstars, which are not limited edition, they came in the quote unquote generic Bulova box,
the standard box.
So those are just like meh, and it has the same paperwork inside of it. But it's like, here we're talking about the rarity and the value addedness of a box and papers watch from the 70s. And right now we'll go out and buy a watch and throw everything away and not think about it twice. Yet 50 years from now, people are gonna be like, oh, I wish he would have never have thrown that stuff out, because imagine how cool it would be to have everything from 2020.
But it's this idea of the ubiquity of some of the things that we have now, and it's the fact that somebody managed to hang on to it. Right. I was just reading about there's this internet archive. There was some random crazy lady who recorded everything she watched on TV all day long, starting in 1976 or 78. And she just recorded 24 hours a day on VHS tape. and then she died. And somebody went into her spare room, and there is a room full of VHS tape, which is the only existing documentation of what was on commercial broadcast TV from the time period. Because
can you imagine that?
Well, but right, but this is the thing. This is the thing. Like at the time, it's like, oh yeah, grandma's crazy. She's recording the TV again. You can't change the channel. She's recording.
Like the greatest time capsule known to man right now.
Exactly. But that's exactly the point. And that it's only through the lens of time that these things become important. And it's the fact that somebody held on to it. There's a conversation that happens around musical instruments, because I'm a musician. I teach music, and I'm trained in this area. That there's a large amount of vintage instruments, and there's an argument to be made that people will say vintage instruments are better, they sound better, they are better, they're sincerely better because the materials were better, or the manufacturing was better, or blah 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 blah. And probably not. It's probably the fact that that particular instrument was really good, and people held on to it because it was good. That's all. Beyond that, not much. So it's a question of where was the quality? Was the quality all over the place, or was the quality very specific? And people held on to the things that were better versus old things are just better. And so it's an interesting argument. When it comes to the box and papers thing, I think it's the rarity. That's what plays into the factor a bit more than anything else. But
so when you talk about box and papers is only important for investments, how does that add on value to that particular watch over any other watch that has box and papers?
It's going to depend on the watch, and it's also going to depend on the age, and it's going to depend on like the package, because the more of it that gets together, the more that it adds together, that the specifics matter. Hang on a second.
So what was the ice cream truck go through your neighborhood?
No, it is the tamale man.
That's even better.
Yeah, we got our tamale guy comes around about this time every day, and that's his notice. The tamales are really good, though. He's not as good as the elote guy. The elote guy, that's the stuff, because they do the straight, and they also do the cup with the crema. Oh man,
see, that's the authentic stuff. That's where it's at.
It has to be off of the street corner, preferably out of an igloo cooler. Then you got it.
I can hear him going by again.
Yeah, we're going down the alley right now, selling tamales. There's the other guy who sells it out of the back of his SUV. Not as good. This guy's got a cart and an umbrella, so
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, your question was, how does box and papers add value as an investment? It's going to depend on the piece. It's going to depend on specifically the watch, and there are going to be some that are going to be more valuable than others. And like, so if you're looking at high-end horology, box and papers are almost a must. If it's vintage and you can manage the box and papers, you're going to be in better shape. If you're going to hang on to it for a long time, and it's going to eventually, new watch to you is going to become vintage, the box and papers is going to add value. Is it going to push it over retail? It's hard to say.
It's just funny how
it's hit and miss.
Some watches are more deserving of box and papers than other watches are.
Yeah, but the thing that's really funny is, like, typically those are the watches without. You're not going to have box and papers for a GMT2 or a mill sub from the late 50s. It's not going to be there. You aren't going to find it, and that's part of the value added. But what has happened since?
How many? First off, how many Sears wrist alarms do you think are still in existence today, and how many are in existence with complete kit?
I'm not saying that it is. This is the thing.
But that's why I'm saying. No, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just
rare.
saying as a whole.
You have something that's massively rare. It's special. Without question, it's special. But my dog is special. I have a very special dog. It's my dog. Dog is special, man.
Technically, you have box and papers for the dog too.
Papers, no box. Definitely papers though.
You don't have a crate?
We as an aftermarket.
Carrier?
Aftermarket.
Carrier?
It didn't come with the dog. We
okay.
did provide it. Right, but that's kind of the point, that it's the rarity of the box and papers that added to the value, and now people are trying to manufacture that value by maintaining and hanging on to the box and papers, and it is really not adding a whole lot at this point. It will in 30 years if you hang on to it that long, because let's face it, storing box and papers, come on, man, that's a lot of room. The LE, the surfboard LE that I got that came in the shoebox, literally came in the shoebox. Like, I don't even know where I'm supposed to put that.
Well, you sent it to Japan.
It's with our man in Japan. Now it's his storage problem and no longer mine.
But it's just it's weird. It's a weird realm to get into in collecting. It matters more to some watches and it doesn't matter at all to other watches. However, when you get into the eBay listings or the Chrono 24 listings or any listing, it could be an Instagram listing, somebody who's just trying to sell it on their own. As soon as it's marked box and papers, they feel like the price is going to go through the roof.
No, I've seen people throw $1,000 premium on something with box and papers on a boulevard, for crying out loud. It's like, okay, I know that you got that as a bargain basement, probably picked it up in somebody's garage. It's not even with that watch. It's not associated with that watch at all. It's like, okay, maybe if you have the hang tags, that can add a layer of authenticity, but I'm not paying you $1,000 for a box and papers. I'm just not.
There's some kind of,
to me.
There's a weird price threshold, and exactly what that number is really hard to say, in which box and papers makes a difference in its value.
Yeah.
But don't label it as new old stock, because the odds are it's not.
No.
NOS condition.
Sure.
But don't sell me a NOS watch and expect me to pay more for it.
Unless you got all the box and papers.
Unless you have the box and papers. Oh, brother.
Well, you got, is that our takeaway? Is that the moral of the story? That's what we've learned from
I don't really know what the takeaway is. It's left open for interpretation, really.
It's dumb is what it is. It's dumb.
It's
at the
cool.
price point at the price point that we're collecting at. It's dumb.
It is, but again, it adds to the rarity of
I'm not saying
the pieces that we have.
Right. But like, he gave you that Sears watch. There was no money that exchanged hands. So it hasn't done anything to the value of the watch whatsoever.
Well, technically, though, that deal hasn't been completed and sealed and signed, and I mean, it was delivered, but so we don't know what the value is just yet.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't look for box and papers hardly ever. And in the times that I have bought a watch that had that, I've always been skeptical. So what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Box and papers.
Box and papers. Last call, Joe.
Well, what do you got? You got anything for last call?
Yeah, I kind of do. It kind of ties into what I was talking about in the beginning. So, because of everything that I had going on with my mom here, it's been a couple of weeks around these parts. I have a few, we can call them customer watches. I have an Oliver watch, and I have KC's Universal Geneve sitting here.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, remember he was talking about how he wanted the watch fam to restore the watch for him. So he sent it to me because it's supposed to be a high polished case,
Yeah.
and it's been worn. It's been used, so it's got scratches and stuff on it.
Loved.
It's been loved. Yeah, it makes a weird rattle. You asked, how is it? It makes noises that I feel like it shouldn't make.
That's fair. But it's good? You like it?
It's a good watch. It's not for me.
Oh, really? No kidding.
Yeah, it's cool. I
Huh?
don't think that I would wear it though.
Oh, I would love to see that. I think that hits like my four quadrants. That's a pretty solid watch for me.
Well,
I
see,
would be
I'm guessing it'll go to you because it's got to get shipped off to be serviced anyway. So you should be
probably
able to
probably.
get
Well,
hands on with it
we'll
too.
see. We'll see. Because if it comes to me, I'd love to take a look at it, take it for a spin.
But thin. Let me tell you how thin it is. It's
I,
impressive.
I'm
It's
assuming
impressive.
it's going to be the same as my ambassador, which is massively. It's
Well,
disgustingly thin. It's disturbingly thin. It's a problem thin.
I'll tell you what. I have to take the whole thing apart to work on the case. So when I pull it all out, I'll take pictures of the movement and we can kind of compare notes between what you've got and what this is. I'm guessing it's going to be the same thing. And it probably.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I can't get like my ambassador is a top loader. There's no screw case
Oh,
back.
really?
Yeah, I
Oh,
can't get. I'll never. I won't see it, and it works beautifully. So I don't even have to touch it. And no second
well,
sand.
there'll be pictures online.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's just not mine.
Not yours. So I wonder if because I think he mentioned that the seller had mentioned that it doesn't wind automatically, like the rotor in it doesn't work or whatever.
Right.
That it may
That
be
could be part
loose
of it.
inside of it or whatever that noise is inside of there because it's a very metallic sound that shouldn't be making.
Yeah.
But it looks cool.
That's never good for a mechanical watch.
Yeah, it's a cool watch. It's just it's not for me. I wouldn't wear it. But anyways, I have that watch. I have Oliver's watch that I started working on. I haven't finished it yet, so I know these guys will be listening to it. I haven't forgotten about you. It's just it's been a couple of weeks around here, so I got to get through this weekend. I have a big detailed job tomorrow that I'm going to do. I'm going back to work on Monday, so I don't even get a weekend this weekend. Um, but I'll start easing back into it next week, and then I have a 3-day weekend next weekend, so I can really hit stuff then. So if I have your watch, it's just going to be a little bit longer.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
my last call is also kind of about the watch fam. So after our last episode, we got an email from a listener. This is it's the whole thing. This is really funny how the watch fam comes together. Email from a listener who is the person who sold me that red dial Accutron.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Right. And it was this sort of this random, like I never imagined that the podcast that I love to listen to would actually somebody would have bought my watch. And so, I got it off of the spring bar podcast at gmail.com and I've been conversating privately with Brandon, who essentially has cornered the market. He's got 3 of those, and they're the only 3 that anybody's ever known about. So the numbers are rare.
He's got less than 3 now.
He's got less than 3, yeah. And so we had a conversation about all of that and eBay's authentication process and how that kind of works. He also has done some conversions of it's either a gun timer or it's a cockpit timer. Accutron made a bunch of them. He's got this beautiful 24-hour dial. Accutron 24-hour dial, and he's 3D printed an insert that you can throw lugs onto and you can wear it as a wristwatch, and it's fantastic.
Is that what those are?
That's what those are.
Because I saw the picture because he added the
Yeah.
picture and it has all the extra stuff inside that little watch.
So
box
he's got 3 of those, and we may start some negotiations here because that was it was too cool.
Oh, really?
It was too cool, dude.
I know you've been wanting one of those.
I've seen that.
for a
I've seen
while.
that. And the question is like, how do you do it? And I've seen a variety of different ways you can go about it. His seems to be the most elegant solution. And so it's like we may be chatting, but I digress because we're talking and he lives in Lake Elsinore, which is about 60 miles from where I am. And we're talking, he and I have been talking all week, and then another friend of the show, Luis, says, hey, I'm thinking about buying this watch. And we talk about what the value of the watch is and if that price is a good price. And he's like, I don't think I want to pay that much. I'm like, I think that's probably a good idea. And he says, I think I want to pay this much. And it's like, I think that's probably a better idea. And he says, what should I do? I was like, who knows? Offer. Go ahead and offer. And so he contacts the seller. And the seller turns out to be a pawn shop. And his conversation with the pawn shop is like, hey, I think this is a fair price. And they're like, oh, we'll think about it. He gets back to me. He's like, these guys, it's in Lake Elsinore. It's a pawn shop in Lake Elsinore. I'm like, Lake Elsinore? I know where that is. That's about 60 miles from me. and he says, well, what if?
Wait a minute. Who did you go have lunch with today?
I want to go have lunch with Brandon.
Oh, I thought you went to go see Oliver.
No, Oliver's coming tomorrow. That's totally different.
Okay.
That's unrelated. So you can jump ahead in my story. Come on, ruin the punchline, man. So the pawn shops in Lake Elsinore, I know somebody in Lake Elsinore, and it's sort of this weird confluence. And I talked to Lisa's like, hey, what if you offer cash and I go get it? I'll drive out. You can send me the money. I'll go out and get it and bring it back. And I've got some other watches that he's having repaired, so they're going to be shipped to me, and we'll just package it all together and it'll all go out at once. How would that be? He's like, that's a good idea. We should do that. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's do that. And then I get another message like, well, look at this watch. I'm like, what is that? And it's essentially the same watch. It's a Bulova chronograph, but it's a different iteration. And somebody else has got it and he wants to sell it for less, but he's in Alaska on a cruise, and that money not come. And I'm like,
listen, we won't say who the seller is, just that we know who the seller is. And I told Luis, don't give him any of your money.
Mike holds grudges. But eventually Luis kind of comes to his senses because he'd already sent me the money. And so it's like, but this is part of the power of how the watch fam works. It's like, here's a guy that I've never met in person. I didn't even know what he looked like until today because we chatted when I got the watch. Sent me a lot of money on the hopes that I would deliver and not get diverted to the casino or anywhere else. And so I drove 60 miles, left. It took me an hour to get there. It took me almost 2 hours to get back because California traffic. Show up at this pawn shop and walk in. It's like, hey, hi, are you Laura? I'm here to pick up a watch for. It's like, oh yeah, got it. Brought it out, checked it out. It's legit. Sent him some pictures. Sent you some pictures because we're on a group chat. Do a video with him. It's like, okay, I got it. It's legit. Everything's okay. He's like, you want me to? I'll pay for it right now. I was like, yep, go ahead, pay for it. Cool. Give them money, get a receipt, get it in the car, give some more information. It's like, all right, cool. Go 2 miles down the road, have a drink at the lake, and meet up with Brandon, who's I bring out a whole bunch of other watches. And so it's this weird thing that the watch fam does, and I love it, and I think it's fantastic. And if you get the chance, like, you can hear horror stories, but you hear a lot more, not love stories, but definitely not horror stories. And so this guy in Lake Elsinore is going to be a pretty solid friend now. If I need something done, or he's got parts that I may want, or if I've got parts that he may want, we're going to have conversations about all of this, and it's going to go on in perpetuity, right? Luis owes me a favor. I've got somebody who owes me a favor in Texas now. So
there you go. So what's your new friend Brandon? What's his deal? Does he do Accutron repairs or
doesn't do repair at all?
Nothing like that. He just
No, he's just another enthusiast out in the middle of California. Got some
Did he
Rolexes.
3D print the cases himself?
Yeah. He does the 3D printing himself. So there's some cool
Okay.
things. He had a fantastic
You know what he can do? He can make you a plastic mill chips. He can print it out of bioceramic. If you're not watching and you're listening only, the look that I just got from Joe, that's fantastic. Oh.
oh, go to hell. No, he does his own thing. He had with him though. This is really interesting. This kind of appeals to KC. He had a Omega Speed Sonic, that chrono with the reflective dial. However, the in lugs, he got one that the bracelet had broken off, and you can put a leather strap on that. And so he had that on a leather strap, which was it was fantastic. It was absolutely wonderful. Astounding. I'm beyond thrilled for that. So really cool. Really cool. It's nice to meet someone who actually, kind of pays attention to what it is that we do, but also has some really cool stuff and is willing to share. So kudos.
Look at you in the day that you had submersed in your hobby that you are so passionate about.
All things watches today. It worked out. Luis is going to end up with a really nice watch. Got to hang out with Brandon. I may end up with a really nice watch. Everybody wins. You already ended up with a really nice watch from him.
I did.
Yeah. And then he got to see this. He got to see the surfboard. He's like, okay. I also brought out the Deep Sea A. He's like, oh no.
You are wearing the Deep Sea A.
The Accutron Deep Sea A.
Oh, okay. That makes a difference.
Does because I have the complete set of all the Deep Seas.
He hasn't seen one of those before.
He hadn't seen one in the metal. He'd seen them online. He's like, I think I want one. And then he saw it. He's like, I want one. And so we were having the conversation that he was having. Is like, yeah, but this, like, it's good that. And I'm like, you bring in stuff that's for sale, and is like that's kind of unfair. He's like, yeah, but none of your stuff is for sale. I'm like, touche. Good point.
By the way, if you're Luis's wife, he didn't make any offers. He did not buy any watches.
This is true. This is true. I can neither confirm or deny any of the aforementioned escapades.
Yeah, this is purely.
The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
A fictional podcast. Or nonfiction, or whichever one is fake. I don't know. I'm not in literature.
So, Mike, how can people get in touch with us?
Apparently, I'm the clueless millennial. I just show my face. Oh, Joe. Tonight, you and I make up the Spring Bar Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at the Spring Bar Podcast. You can email us because it works. springbarpodcast@gmail.com. On a personal level, I am 120 clicks, all spelled out, one long word, 120 clicks. Joe.
I am Watch Taylor Youth, all one word, Watch Taylor EUPH. And then our KC, who is not here, is time.hack1636. And you can reach him for all of his millennial antics.
Did you remember that, or do you have to look it up just now?
I looked it up. I want to make sure I didn't screw it up. I think I have it. I think I've got it, but I want to make sure because I've screwed it up before. And then you can also.
It seems like every time he blows up his phone, he's got to create a new account. So we're like on version number 3.
Let's hope his phone is intact after this recording. Yeah. You can reach us at Gmail at the springbarpodcast@gmail.com.
We've already been through that.
What? Yeah, I know, but we're going to reiterate.
Discuss that while you were.
I'm plugging it again because it worked once. That means it could work again. You never know.
Gotcha.
Other people by other lakes may want to reach out, Mike. Maybe it'll be your turn.
Well, in case you missed it that time, you can reach us at the springbarpodcast@gmail.com.
Hey! And
this is the longest outro we've ever had.
It is.
We just keep going.
It is. We should be done. We should stop right now.
We should be right now.